go to Instagram. Hello, everybody. We're trying to go live. Looks like we're going live, maybe.
It's happening.
It is. Okay, and there it is on, there we go. We got Instagram going, as always, not always, but sometimes just a short delay. So I'm really excited to have Ryan Encinas on the show today. A little bit about Ryan. I'm gonna give you his bio, and then I'm gonna give you my experience. So that's how that rolls. He is a holistic RN. He specializes in metabolic health and mindset optimization, my very favorite thing. Utilizing Nobel Prize-winning Physics, the bioscanner, and he teaches cellular antioxidant metrics to address nutrient deficiencies. He had, let me tell you about his background. First of all, he collaborates with diverse health practitioners to promote prevention, and measurable nutrient optimization. He has a background in cancer surgery at MD Anderson. His experience spans surgical assistance, directorial roles, and Bio Chem, cell function, genetics, and spirituality. He's my guy. He emphasizes personalized nutrition, lifestyle modifications, and stress management with radical ownership. I love that word because I always say you have to take radical responsibility for what you do. Yep. So radical ownership to enhance health span. He said, we are a system, not symptoms. All disease boils down to two things: deficiency and toxicity. Now I'm going to give you my experience with Ryan. So I met Ryan at the Redefining Medicine conference in Las Vegas. I shared with Ryan my book, Emotional Healing, Toxic-Free Living, and a few downloads I got. And he introduces me to none other than a dead clairvoyant, Rudolf Steiner, which basically validated everything that I ever said in my book. So Ryan is a soul brother. He's wise beyond his years, and I'm excited to share him with you. Now, keep in mind, everything we say is for entertainment purposes only. So, if you have a medical situation or question, you should see a medical doctor, or you should see Ryan because he is technically Western Med. So, but what we're going to be discussing here is also holistic modalities, and so you should feel free to consider this entertainment. All right. With that being said, what we're going to talk about today are the limitations of modern medicine's focus on disease management for profit. We know that it's overlooking the root causes of our health concerns. We're going to draw the parallels between measuring oxygen levels with a pulse oximeter and assessing cellular health. This Nobel Prize-winning physics enables us to tune into the frequency of cellular function. I'm going to actually just kind of let Ryan go from here and explain to us what is it that you're doing differently that makes a difference in the lives of people's health. Go for it.
Thank you for that introduction. I got chills, especially when you started talking about Rudolf Steiner.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's my tell, how I know I'm having a conversation that needs to be had. So thank you. I'm humbled and excited to be here. What we're doing differently and creating this shift, this paradigm shift to reconnect us to nature is measuring nature. We're measuring the frequency of natural compounds that we don't just use, they become a part of every cell in our body. And that's the difference. We're giving people a measurable test that they can see, just like their credit score, their bank account, high or low. You doing well or you're doing not so well. And we can reassess and take another measurement and see if we're improving or getting worse. And by improving, we're lowering the risk for all metabolic disease. And when we're worse, we're at a much higher risk, or there's something going on. You know, when we diagnose someone, it's been going on for a long time. There's been a lot of deficiency and toxicity for a long time, and it's finally manifesting in a way that Western medicine can read it. Well, we're surpassing that. We're going way upstream and going right to the frequency of nutrition inside the cell and measuring that frequency. So we know if your cells are in harmony, homeostasis, and you're at lower risk for disease. Metabolic, all that means is cell function. And we need a garden, God's beautiful garden that he's given us. And the universe was created with all these compounds, these minerals that are on the periodic table, these building blocks of matter and life in the 3D world that are part of our system. We're never just deficient in one thing, we're deficient in many, many things. And that's the clever marketing. That's the BS of the whole system, is saying, I have this one miracle cure. Just take your magnesium, or try my methylene blue, or just do breath work and we'll fix everything. We're human.
Well, right. And here's the thing. So it's a multimodal approach. Everything I've ever done to reclaim my health has always been a multimodal approach.
Yep.
I want to go back to the bank account.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you know that's where I started, was in banking.
No,
40 years.
wow.
Right. So I started as a 14-year-old filing checks, and then catapulted all the way through the system, launched the debit card program for the United States and internationally. But before that, financial advisor, right? Like all of that. And so the reason I want to talk about the bank account is because it's a number.
Yep.
Okay. And a number drives how much money you have in your account or not, if it's overdrawn. And so the question is your personal bank account,
Yep,
this one right here, is it abundant or is it in a state of overdraft?
100%.
Right?
Yep.
Okay. And again, I'm going to go back. It's a number.
Yeah.
Explain to people, because I think you can probably do it more eloquently than me. Okay. I really do. That the frequency is a number. It's a hertz. It's a number, right? We can measure that. Every single frequency is a specific number that goes to a specific organ, tissue, or cell, right? Mm-hmm. Explain that to them and how these numbers matter.
So what is physics? Physics is the math of all matter. It's how every molecule, mineral, vitamin, everything has a frequency we'll dial into. And that pulse oximeter, when you're in the hospital or the doctor's office, and that little red light that goes on your finger that measures the oxygen in your body in real time, it's not a lab test that you're sending off. It's measuring right then and there what's going on inside your body, because it is tuning into the frequency of oxygen, and it's measuring that specific frequency of light is tuned into oxygen, and it's measuring the reflection of electrons. We call that Raman spectroscopy. It won the Nobel Prize in the 1930s. Raman spectroscopy. Raman is a Indian scientist.
Oh, okay.
Brilliant man. And Raman spectroscopy is used in pulse oximeter. It's used on the Mars rover to look for signs of life, tuning into the frequency of these biologic compounds for measurement. It's also how we measure a star or a planet and see how far away they are, but also what they're made of, because we're tuning into these different frequencies. So math.
And do you know what the frequency of a bee is, by the way? The bee buzzing?
111 or 127?
528.
528. There we go.
Frequency of love.
Yes. Yeah.
So sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
No, you're good.
The bee buzzes at the frequency of love, which makes our food.
Yeah.
Of course, our food would be made with love.
Yeah.
Right. And so if we could start like dialing into that and help people understand that what's the frequency? Because I'm going to look it up. I don't know. What's the frequency of shame?
Oh, it's a good question.
I know what it is on the map of consciousness. It's 20, but I don't know if that's actually, I don't think it's a hertz.
Yeah, the correlation. Well, just like our frequency was changed of FM radio broadcast.
I know, right?
It used to be a frequency that was more beneficial, but this is also what EMF is. It's a certain frequency or radiation that's harmful. Our bodies are naturally designed to deal with radiation. The sun is radiation. How our bodies,
but it's healthy radiation, right?
Anything can be poisons in the dose. You can get sunburnt. If
Right.
you don't have enough nutrients in your body and don't have enough exposure, it's kind of like working out. You don't run a marathon in the first day. So,
Well, I know I don't.
and you don't sit outside in the sun for 12 hours if you've never done it before. You have to slowly build exposure, just like anything in life or anything emotionally that's difficult, or becoming an entrepreneur, switching careers, learning a new skill. It takes time. The body's no different. This is math. This is physics.
Right.
And we apply that to biology because of these universal principles of creation by our creator. And we're also deficient and starved. So when we systemically raise all of these nutrients in our body, you are protected from the sun more. So now you can tolerate sun more and build your resilience, just like you build your stamina to run that marathon.
But I want to talk about the sun because I have an interesting story about that. May I?
Yeah, of course.
So as a child, I never burned, like ever, right? And I was born in the 60s. And so I didn't have so much fake food.
Right.
My mom served real food. I did have my Fruit Loops. We know that has red dye in it. Yeah. But the point is that, I mean, I didn't burn. When I was misdiagnosed and put on 50 drugs, and I actually, even at the time, it was only 4 drugs when I burned the first time. And I went to Hawaii, and I didn't just burn, but I blistered.
Ouch.
For the first time ever in my life, and I'm 30 years old. Okay. And so what I want to say is the sun is very healing. And if our body is laden with chemicals, you can't stop the chemical reaction between the sun and the chemicals now that we have put in the body.
Yep.
So it's not that the sun is bad for you. It's the lifestyle combined with the sun.
Yep. And
there's actually products out there that you can use until you get all those toxins, right? Third Rock Essentials is a good one that has a sunblock that's, you can eat it, quite frankly. So, which is how it should be. But
the best sunblock in the world is vitamin E.
And all day. And there's vitamin E in his sunblock, actually.
It's the top 3 deficiency in the US. It's over 95% of people are deficient in vitamin E. And you don't know unless you measure your levels. But vitamin E goes into your melanin. That's the internal main ingredient to protect from sun damage. That's how we get age spots. And what this device is measuring is actually carotenoids, which are in every single plant and algae on the planet. And their primary function in every plant is to protect from damage of the sun.
Yeah.
And then they do one other thing. They drive that photon of light, this nourishing light is responsible for all life. They protect from the damage of it. And then they move that photon of light into photosynthesis. But animals, humans, we do not make carotenoids. They're a signal, they're a color. They're God's design to grab our attention, to say, hey, eat me. I'm an apple. I'm an orange. I'm a beet. I'm a carrot.
Right. Eat the color of the rainbow. Right.
So, yeah. Or in flowers, they attract pollinators. So it's part of this system, this intelligent design of the ecosystem to attract us to pollinate, spread the seed. That's what animals do when they eat a fruit or vegetable. And a cardinal's deep, bright red is because of carotenoid antioxidants. And the deeper and brighter red a cardinal is, what does it do? It's a sign that it's a healthy mate with strong life energy, strong vitality.
So I had one outside my window today.
Love that. I have one. They come visit my window every morning. We have a bird feeder and live right next to a large family of cardinals. Beautiful.
Yeah. Is that not amazing? I mean, like, they're like one of my favorite birds. Yep. Although I have 2 birds in the other room, 2 parrots, but they were a little. They were having a little bit of anxiousness today, so I didn't bring them on to the show. But they're so full of color, and they're about as bright as you can get, which tells you a lot about their diet, right? Because I make them their own food.
Wow.
Yeah, I make them birdie bread. Of course, and it has every nutrient in the planet that they're allowed to have in their birdie bread. Plus, of course, they get the fresh, and but sometimes they just want to crunch down on mommy's birdie bread. So there you go. So many interesting things though that you have said. So I want to talk about the device that you're using.
Mm-hmm.
But prior to that, and I don't know if you can answer this, but I'm sensing you can. So if you can't, it's okay. Okay. Because we didn't really prepare for this. But we just kind of go as we go.
Yeah.
I know this is true. I just don't know how to explain it. So our bodies, our cells mimic or mirror somehow plants, which was why the plants and us get along so well. Can you explain that?
Yeah. It's called endosymbiosis.
Endosymbiosis. Okay.
It is inside and symbiosis, a symbiotic relationship.
Oh, thank you.
And our mitochondria, our little powerhouse of the cell.
Yeah.
It's actually not human DNA. It's plant DNA.
What? Our mitochondria is plant DNA?
Yes.
Well, I was just downstairs charging it with my red light therapy.
Yep. and that's why. That's why we need light. It's integral into our biology. We are diurnal creatures. We are creatures of light that need to be alive. And most animals are. And animals don't get sunburned because they're eating natural food and they're designed to interact with light. But yes, millions and millions of years ago, there was what's called the Great Catastrophe. It was the oxygen holocaust. All these bacteria overgrew the earth and they poop out oxygen, right? Yeah. So they smothered the earth in oxygen, creating our atmosphere, but it snuffed out all life because oxygen is the second most reactive chemical on the periodic table. Too much oxygen.
What do you mean it's the second most reactive element on the periodic table? What does that mean to somebody who's listening to this?
Everything rusts.
Got it.
And what is biologic rust is called oxidative stress. It's oxidizing, just like that old car turning metal. Oxygen is that we're not properly breaking down our interaction with oxygen because we're deficient of antioxidants.
You are a translator. You're a concierge.
Yes, it's yeah. Who am I talking?
I am too, but so I don't have certain knowledge that you have, so it makes you really valuable in this world. Let me tell you. Yeah.
Even a star dies from oxidizing. A star can die by creating an iron core, which is a heavier element than the hydrogen and helium. So it steals the electrons, causing more oxidation, and the iron core grows and grows and grows until the star burns through all of its fuel, and then it becomes a dead star. And if there's enough gravity, it implodes and becomes a black hole. Universal math. We're talking about physics and chemistry, quantum biology. When we apply physics to our 3D world, and we're a biologic organism. So when we're alive, there's consciousness, and your birds have a consciousness. My dog has a consciousness. A star has a consciousness.
Everything has consciousness, right? And I'm going to take us to spirituality, but I want to go back to the plant DNA for a second, because that's so brilliant. And I love that you drink out of a mason jar. That's what I drink out of too, but mine happens to be in the kitchen. Yeah. So plant DNA. So our mitochondria. So for those who are not familiar with some of this stuff, your cell, the powerhouse of your cell is the mitochondria, right?
Yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, because I'm not nearly the scientist that you are, and I know my place. So
you're doing great.
When you understand, which I just learned now, that our mitochondria is plant DNA, it makes complete sense. The only way to fuel it is with light, which is sunlight, which is what we're all missing big time, which is why when it's raining out there or I don't have a chance to go for my walk that day, I'm in my healing center doing red light, green light, and blue light therapy.
Yeah.
So,
and color is frequency, right? Color is just the frequency of light. Like when an apple's red, it's not actually red, it's reflecting red.
It's reflecting red, exactly.
Yeah. So it's giving
Which is
us
so still mind-boggling to
Yeah.
me, but yeah.
And so
Yeah.
it's a signal. It's like saying, hey, I'm red, I'm green, I'm yellow. So these designed to interact with how we see to give us a signal that that's something we should be consuming. It's attracting our eye for a reason. And carotenoids protect from the damage of light. And they're all these vibrant colors. That's why I say eat colors, not calories. Calories is the
Yeah, and
measurement.
I actually, eat the colors of the rainbow. And then I think you and I both also have the same, I think you were the only other person I heard say it, and I think it was you, but I tell people not to count calories, but to count toxins. And you should always be at 0.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So these mitochondria,
Mhm.
they only are in the woman's egg.
What?
So all your mitochondria come from your mother. When you were born, my daughter who was just born, or my
Yeah.
wife, they have all of their eggs they're going to have for their entire life. They're born with them. And they house all the dormant mitochondria. And the spark of life happens when the egg, this is new science, the egg sends out a frequency to the one sperm it chooses.
Of course she does.
And it's the sperm that has the highest nutrition in it, the most zinc. And it's called the zinc spark of life. And we had this film this past year with electron microscopes and these beautiful, vibrant infrared microscopes are seeing these purple and pink waves flush all over the egg. And it's zinc acting as an antenna at driving photons of light and adhering them and jump-starting the mitochondria, just like we jump-start a car. It's photon of light energy from zinc. And zinc is, we're all deficient in zinc too. Zinc is so instrumental, but in males, that's what our sperm is made out of. Is primarily zinc for that zinc spark of life. That's what it's called.
Crazy to me.
So plants are really good at making energy, right? Taking that sun and using the carotenoids that we're measuring to protect that and help make energy. Because we don't make energy, it's converted. Energy can either be destroyed or created. We're converting. So our mitochondria help with the conversion of all the nutrients we...
You're saying energy cannot be destroyed. It can only be transferred or...
Yep.
Yeah.
Transformed. So these bacteria, these plants, these mitochondria are really good at making energy. They're really bad at protecting them. I don't know when's the last time you got in a fight with a plant. You probably won. It might have poked you, but you can rip it out and chew it up and chop it up. You win.
Yeah, I put it in my soup yesterday. A little basil leaf.
Yeah. Same too. I had some Tom Kai soup. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
But animals are not good at making energy. They have to consume something and convert it into energy, but they're really good at protecting themselves from other predators. So that's what endosymbiosis is there was a relationship where a bacteria said, hey, I'm going to go live inside this animal cell that can protect me. And we're going to have this symbiotic relationship of making energy while they feed energy. So they help each other.
Yeah. So
protect me, I'll help you make energy.
Yeah. And so then going back to where you were going before, which was the spirituality of things and the frequency and the energy and the emotions, right? People have heard me speak. Tell the world what you think about how our emotions impact our cells, the frequency of our health, and how spirituality plays a part of that. Go for it.
So we're zooming in and we're zooming out. Everything, every sickness, disease boils down to deficiency or toxicity. And you can apply this to nutrition. You're devoid of nutrients and you're toxins, but you could have too much toxic stress in your life. You could have maladapted coping mechanisms. You could have trauma that you haven't shifted your perspective on. And higher stress makes you burn through more nutrients. The higher your nutrients are, the your body can handle emotional stress, stress from radiation, stress from EMF, stress from the sun. So if you're constantly living in this state of emotional stress, you are depleting your nutrients at a faster rate. So you're already depleted. Now you're stressing yourself out, furthering the depletion. it's a recipe for disaster. It's a recipe for metabolic disease. We know that depression.
We'll talk about the absorption rate though, too. Like when you're stressed, are you absorbing those nutrients?
No, you're absorbing less.
I was waiting.
Yeah. It's like, it's a chicken or the egg situation. So it's, how do I communicate with someone? Because if someone had perfect nutrition, but had horrible mindset, they're still going to be sick. If someone had beautiful mindset, but poor nutrition, they're still going to be sick. We have to find the balance. We have to find the equilibrium of deficiency, corrected deficiency, and toxicity, where this stress can be at a cell level with oxidative stress. The stress can be in your belief system. Do you believe in love? Do you believe in a higher power? Do you believe in fear? Or is that where your focus is? Are you
right? What's driving you every day?
Right.
Right.
And I use SHIFT as an acronym to help people understand this.
Okay, I'm listening.
Stress harmonizing insights for transformation.
Did you make that up?
I did. So that stress can be emotional, and you have to harmonize that, right? You have to shift your perspective into radical ownership. No one's coming to save you. You can't stop these things from happening in our world, but you can choose to be a victim and focus on this, or you can choose to have radical ownership, because everything that we do with difficulty becomes opportunity. And everything that is opportunity in our life is difficult. It is a infinity loop, feedback loop.
Well, and it's a choice in how you want to either react or respond to it, right?
Shift your perspective, shift your state, shift your nutrition, shift your stress, shift your perspective.
Harmonizing insight for transformation, right?
And that's what we're doing. We're harmonizing our nutrients. We're harmonizing our perspective and our coping mechanisms. We're shifting our perspective to be in harmony with ourselves, to be in harmony with our belief systems, with our creator, with nutrition, with the universe. They're all synergistically working together. So
yeah, and I want to tell people, keep talking. I'm going to get my phone out and I'm going to grab the text that you gave me the day we met. So, because I didn't know if you have access to it.
Yeah.
Quick, so go ahead.
The stress is the other acronym I use. And it's an acronym for the world we live in. Systems that reinforce economic suffering and sickness.
Yeah, all day. I love that. Systems, right? Systems or symptoms?
Systems that reinforce economic sickness
and suffering all day.
Yeah, that's the matrix. That's the world we live in. That's the whole food system. That's politics. That's, celebrities. That's everything, where everyone's trying to sell you something instead of your own radical ownership. Turn off the TV because it's television programming.
I have not watched TV since 2013. I watch a movie on occasion, but so I'm going to tell a story.
I love story time.
So I think I met you on the 15th or 16th. I think probably the 16th. And we have Dee Jenkins here. Welcome, Dee Jenkins. So she wants to know that it's actually not SHIP. It's shift.
Yeah.
So it's stress, harmonizing insight for transformation, Dee. And then we also have Naima Latif, who's also my publisher for the book, Emotional Healing, Toxic-Free Living. And it was in December, and I thought the book was supposed to publish. And, God had a different plan. And I shared with you about my download from the divine about how our souls fracture, and when we are exposed to toxicity, and there are walk-ins or walk-outs, so your soul walks out and takes a mental vacation in another timeline or dimension, and another soul comes in, meaning it could be a family member or it could be another version of yourself in another timeline at a different age. Okay, so there's a couple variations. And then you presented me with Rudolf Steiner. And do you remember I was shaking and I couldn't even speak, and I was tears, right? So I want to read this. May I? Okay.
Please do.
And thank you, because I added this to my book.
Oh, beautiful.
Thank you. So more than 100 years ago, I'll hold this way. So, okay, more than 100 years ago, Rudolf Steiner wrote the following: in the future, we will eliminate the soul with medicine under the pretext of a healthy point of view. There will be a carrot juice. Again, entertainment purposes only. There will be because he's a clairvoyant, so it can't be real. There will be I'm just going to say it. If they want to take it down, let them. Be a vaccine by which the human body will be treated as soon as possible, directly at birth, so that the human being cannot develop the thought of the existence of the soul and spirit. Again, this is clairvoyant Rudolf Steiner that Ryan shared with me when I met him. Okay. So 2 materialistic doctors will be entrusted the task. I don't know that I can read this. The task of removing the soul of humanity. As today, people are vaccinated against this disease or that disease. So in the future, children will be vaccinated with a substance that can be produced precisely in such a way that people, thanks to this vaccination, will be immune to being subjected to the madness of spiritual life. The madness of spiritual life. Just let that sink in for a moment. He would be extremely smart, but he would not develop a conscience, and that is the true goal of some materialistic circles. With such a vaccine, you can easily make the etheric body loose in the physical body. That's jumping out of body, fractured soul, your soul leaving, going into another timeline or dimension, taking a mental vacation, a timeout to process the trauma. It could be a chemical trauma. It could be a physical trauma. Pick your trauma. Okay. Okay. Once the etheric body is detached, the relationship between the universe and the etheric body would become extremely unstable, and man would become an automation for the physical body of man must be polished on this earth by spiritual will. So the vaccine becomes a kind of aramanic force. Man can no longer rid of a given materialistic feeling. He becomes materialistic of constitution and can no longer rise to the spiritual. Rudolf Steiner, 1861, 1925. How did you come across this?
It's a powerful quote from a brilliant man who, it came across my vision, my path. It was shown to me through the scrolling. And this is our last free speech, right? Or podcast or social media. And we still have to figure out how to play within the rules of the game. And it came across and I saved it. I've incorporated into my everything. And this is the mission, is to reconnect us with nature, with God, with spirituality. And that comes in many different flavors. I'm not here to judge. Just I want to know that you believe in love and helping one another. That's what it boils down to. It would be very boring if we all believed the exact same thing, but that's the thing that we can unite on, is believing in love. Like there's nothing more divine than self-love, and that's discipline. Discipline is self-love, but it's the sovereignty that we all have, the radical ownership where we have to unlearn conditioned programming. And you were listening to Coca-Cola commercials in the womb,
and drinking it as well, by the way, right?
Yep. It's all been a conditioned response to keep us indoctrinated, keep us in this system that needs us to thrive. So, if everyone stopped buying Coca-Cola for 1 week, it would almost bankrupt the company.
Mm.
It's that simple. We for the first time, we're seeing, changes to our food and attention being brought on a national stage. And I'm not political at all, because I think it's controlled opposition and you need both sides. It doesn't matter.
I'm not political either.
Yeah.
Although I do love RFK. So
Yeah, exactly. But health isn't political, nor should it be.
Nor should it be, right?
Yeah.
Like, why should?
Because it's for profit. It's the largest, most profitable industry in our country. And the sad part is it's spiritual warfare. They're literally monetizing your health, your relationship to the universe and God. And we were born
I always cry when I'm around you, right?
In nature, your health is the most natural thing. A tree grows, a bird flies. Life figures out a way. A tree will grow around or through a boulder. A bird will survive without a leg or a broken beak. It figures out a way. Mm-hmm. And our bodies are amazing. We'll never fully understand them. We need to tap into the forever balance between enlightenment and faith. You'll never know everything. You'll dive into your faith to understand that you have trust that you'll be supported. And it's so scary to step outside of this system that keeps reinforcing and telling you through music, through media, through your doctor, through food labels that you need this or you'll be unhealthy if you don't do that. And
your body is not good enough. And my reply to that is your body is a master healing machine. Yeah. I mean, if let's just second grade it, shall we? Mm-hmm. Okay. So did you ever skin your knee when you were a child?
Oh, yeah.
It's still damaged, right? Or did it? Oh, I'm sorry. It healed? Did it heal?
Yeah, it healed.
Like quickly, right? You didn't need a drug?
Didn't need a drug.
And when you are gardening and you clip those chives or trim down the basil, what happens afterwards?
Grows back.
Oh, right. It's these simple things that we're not thinking about because we've been programmed differently.
Yeah.
Right. And so we are so incredibly powerful people. We are so powerful, it's beyond. And if someone else can have you play small, right, then they win. But as long as you choose to break out of the current constraints, your current reality, and define your future for yourself, not based upon some programming, you're golden.
Yeah.
Are you not?
Your programming is to keep you in line, to keep you on a system, when the other most divine thing we can do, how do we pay homage? How do we respect and show appreciation for being here?
Yeah.
We create.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what you create. We need it all. That's the beauty, is we're supposed to collaborate and create so many beautiful things together. So you can create beautiful art. Mm-hmm. You can create a beautiful garden. You can create a beautiful family. You can create better, economic system for the world. You can create better ways to farm. You can create literature that empowers people and helps them. It doesn't matter what you create, you're supposed to create. And no one wants to create this job that they hate and not stuck in. So you're creating your freedom one way or another, but we have to have that creative outlet. And when people say, oh, I'm not creative, here's an example of how everyone is beyond creative because they worry about things that don't happen.
Right.
You're so creative in the ways that you worry about all the things that could go wrong.
All the stories that you make up that are not even close to true.
Yes. And 99% of the time, those things don't happen. But it's biological. We're supposed to focus on the things that harm us and hurt us to stay alive when we were animals, right? Mm-hmm. Sleep in a cave because it's protective. don't go out at night because that saber-toothed tiger might drag you. I'm like, oh, we lost Steve. That was scary. Like, I'm afraid of the dark for generations. It's designed to focus our biology, our mind, the physical mind is designed to pay attention to things that could do us harm. And that's what's hard, is to break free out of a pattern, is the same pattern of fear, whether it's fear in the future or fear in the past. Fear in the future is anxiety. Fear in the past is depression. And you're stuck in a pattern.
Do you know the title of my next book?
No.
When Past Lives Come Back to Haunt You.
Hmm.
Because I want to talk about these patterns and these fears. I've witnessed this, not only of myself, but of others, right? Because I had to go through it to become who I am. And people sometimes have fears that are not even based in this lifetime.
Yep.
They pull them through as a soul contract or something they lived in their past. And they're here in this present moment to heal that trauma or wound that they never healed when they were alive, let's say in Egypt or something. And so when we understand that we can release these fears and we don't have to own them, that's when you can choose to empower yourself. And I actually was downloaded what's called the All Clear Protocol, which I'm actually going to send you the pocket prayer card for that. And the protocol is a gift. I think that, well, yeah, it comes in here. This is your little pocket prayer card. And then you pull out, and I was handing these out at the last conference, and I had it in a blue envelope. And so no one even saw this, but they held the envelope and they were like they didn't even see it. They could feel it because it's all blessed, right, by the divine.
I had an interesting concept with that I was introduced to that made sense to me. There was something that clicked.
Mm-hmm.
And my daughter, who was born, she chose to be back in my life somehow. Some other time she could have been a sister, a best friend, my grandmother, who knows?
She was actually your sister, and another time she was your best friend. She was never your grandmother. Sorry.
I know, I love it.
I do.
And time is not linear. So all these different timelines, different dimensions exist at the same time. Mm-hmm. So the concept was an octopus. And you think the octopus's head and all the tentacles hanging down. Mm-hmm. Each tentacle represents a different life, a different timeline, a different experience. Mm-hmm. And when they're connected at the heart chakra, right, where all these timelines connect, and if you are in tune and get the signal clear, you can speak, see, or understand what's happened in other lives. So I'm a very deep empath. I can feel people's emotions. And basically, with this large nose, I call it the nose knows. I can understand if someone is BSing me, or if their words aren't in alignment with their energy, right? If they're not being true to themselves, or they're not having honest intentions with their words.
Yeah, I have a BS meter as well, and I can tell. And forgive me for interrupting, but you made such a good point. So it's the heart, right? And so when the heart is compromised energetically, it can jump out of body. And that's when we know that they're being led by an energy source that's not in alignment with source energy, Jesus Christ, Yahweh, or whoever you pray to, as long as it's rooted in love. Like, I don't have a judgment, right? Yeah. And so that heart-centeredness, letting the heart lead the brain. Yeah. But please go ahead.
Do you have faith in love, right? So I had to learn how to love myself more, because the more I could love myself, forgive myself, was radical ownership. And the more I love myself, took care of my body, took care of my vessel, took care of my mind, took care of my belief system, got all those in harmony with love, then my capacity to love others grows exponentially. The more I love myself, the more love I can give to others.
Right. And accept yourself with all your flaws.
Yeah.
Right. Because we're all flawed and it's okay.
So
And if you can laugh at it, even better. Right.
laughter is the best medicine. So all these different lives, as a deep empath, there was things, other people's emotions that I could understand and feel that I had not experienced in this lifetime. So because I had more ownership and more self-love, that opened up my gift, right? We all have these gifts and you can learn more gifts. And so that was my initial gift that I understood as a child. And now
As a child, you knew this.
I was a single child, so I was around a lot of adults. And
Wow.
how do I navigate that? Well, am I safe? I have to figure out a mechanism that lets me know if I'm safe. So if this person I'm talking to, am I safe? Does their energy align with their words?
Well, so this is what I wrote in the book recently because I edited it. It's ready to. We're waiting for Amazon to approve it at this point. It's perfectly done. But one of the things, as I mentioned, is, and I think a lot of people make this mistake or have this lesson, right? You can fall in love with someone's heart and soul. You can. It's easy.
Yeah.
But when the behaviors don't align with the energy of the heart, it will not sustain a relationship. The behaviors have to be in line with the frequency of the heart. And that's why it's so important to be connected to source, be connected to goodness, and pause on your actions and your behaviors and your inactions so that your brain, your amygdala doesn't take over, right? The hippocampus doesn't say, woo, attack that person, right?
Yeah. Yep. Your growth, loving growth, right? So true science, true spirituality, true philosophy and debate is all about meeting adversity, meeting a challenge with compassion.
Yeah.
What is the other person saying? What is the other side saying? Let's look into it. Let me understand. Let me communicate with you that I understand what you're saying. Acknowledge it. That's what science is. That's what psychology is. We're acknowledging the emotions. There's no bad emotion. They blow through like storms. Sometimes there's different seasons in life, but they're not forever. And sometimes a storm blows through and it's violent and harsh and difficult. Sometimes it's a gentle storm. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's a season that has, it's drier, it's hotter, and there's no bad emotion. There's only bad reactions. So if we lean into and feed the fear of that emotion, instead of releasing it, we're feeding it. And then we're making a decision based off of that fear from an emotional standpoint, instead of just acknowledging it and then sitting in and be like, I'm safe, I'm loved, I'm nourished. How do I nourish myself? Do I need to express this? And there's the tricky part. It's hard to express your emotions to someone else because they're projecting, and relationships are the difficult part because you're never going to get it right. You're always going to hurt someone's feelings, especially the people you love the most. You interact with them the most. But it's the forgiveness. It's the ownership. It's the acknowledgement of, yes, I hurt your feelings. I'm sorry.
Right. And I talk a lot about forgiveness and the importance of forgiveness. And we have to forgive people. We have to forgive ourselves, most importantly, because that frequency, going to the beginning of the conversation, will destroy your cell health, because we are 70% water, give or take, right? And
99% at a molecular level.
What's that?
99% at a molecule level. We're 70% fluid water, but our whole collagen network and all of the structure, our bones and stuff, there's water all in that too.
Okay, so even more important to forgive yourself, because it's a frequency and you're actually harming your cells. So Dee Jenkins, who we both know and I love, she wants to know, is there a way you would measure stress or instruct others on how to measure their stress? Can we talk about that?
Yeah.
The
device. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
And I wanted to say we have to end the show. So I'm doing something different. I'm posting this on TikTok.
Yeah.
So if I have this under 60 minutes,
Perfect.
Yeah.
I got it. Okay. So the end of this year, Prism will be out to the world. Right now it's a mouthful, the biophotonic scanner, and we focus in the medical community of a vital sign. We've tested 28 million people, 99% don't measure up, plain and simple. And this is validated at the highest levels of science. We've had developed by the NIH. We've had a Yale 10-year cancer study on the device, Texas Tech Medical School, Stanford, international studies published on this device. What's coming to your home at the end of this year and early 2026, you can buy your own device with a sexy rebrand of Prism, because we were looking at light and measuring the frequency of oxidative stress and antioxidants inside the body. So now let's get your nutrition right at home for about $300. You can just buy the device one time. And we've been working with MIT for the past 4 years, $500 million in research and development. And this device is now learning how to take other biometric measurements. So that's what's coming. It'll have updates pushed to it, just like your iPhone. Now you can measure your vitamin E, your vitamin D. But initially, it's going to be measuring these carotenoid antioxidants, which impact the cell membrane and how everything gets in and out of every single cell. And when your antioxidants are low, your oxidative stress is high. Your inflammatory markers, your ESR, your cytokines, and all that stuff. You can pretty much name any test on the planet: oxidized LDL, triglycerides, kidney function. And
how is this different than the device I tried in Vegas?
The device you tried in Vegas is very expensive. So it's $100,000. So we lease it to physicians or wellness professionals. And now we are using a different technology, leveraging the Raman spectroscopy, 28 million data points using AI and machine learning. And we finally spent a ton of money to be able to bring it to scale. So now we can, after 20 years of this being out in the world and on the market, now we can actually scale it and market it to everyone and say, hey, here's a device, have it in your own home, get your nutrition right, get your cell function right. Let's understand that this is fundamental to get into the frequency of health before running and trying to these other modalities like hyperbaric chambers and all the stuff. It's great, but you can't outrun bad fuel.
No, you cannot outrun bad fuel. I have a friend of mine who worked at, well, it doesn't matter where they worked at, but it was at a medical place, and the nurse is a runner, and she was trying to outrun McDonald's.
Not going to happen.
No, you can outrun toxins, people. What did Dee say? Is this S3 scanner or something like that?
Yes, that's exactly what it is. The S3 scanner. It's version 3. Been out for 20 years. I met you because I was at A4M, American Academy of Integrative Medicine. We've been there for 20 years. And now I just filmed a documentary that'll be out on Amazon Prime called Shield. It's She Healed, and it's about women's health. We're talking about cellular health. It'll be out this summer, and now we're finally getting exposure. And hi, Dee.
I love her. I love all these people. I have so many cool people that are here that I just love. Go ahead.
Love it. I'm in Austin, Texas, and we're at South by Southwest, and we just partnered with one of the largest podcasts in America. Sean
Kelly. You said She Healed, though. Can we go back to that for a minute?
Shield. It's spelled SHEALED. Wow. And the heal is in big letters, so it's She Healed together. It's beautiful marketing. It's the largest women's health documentary ever made. Tons and tons of women's health experts on there speaking about different aspects, and we're just kind of saying, hey, we're cellular health. We're introducing people to, no one knows what carotenoids are, no one understands, but this is not some small company. This is the largest genetic and nutritional research in the world with over 70 scientists. The founders came from big pharma, who invented rapamune immunosuppressant therapies, who invented statins, and they were researching plants. Big Pharma is inspired by nature, but you cannot patent nature. So they make a synthetic compound that has all the side effects. They gave the middle finger and left 40 years ago and said, we want to bring pharmaceutical standardization to natural extracts, what they were studying. And they've never had a recall in 40 years. All these GMP standards that you see on supplements, that's because of this company, because they set the standard, and our standards are even higher than that. So we source every single ingredient, test, stability.
My heart is thinking, you know that, right?
Yeah. That's why we were the first natural supplement listed in the physician's desk reference, right there next to all these drugs. And we have all the clinical, independent, no affiliation clinical studies backing this stuff up, saying we have a money back guarantee that we can change lab value. We're not messing around. This is like, don't buy into the marketing or hype. Do you know if these things are working in your body or not? We can measure and show you.
So when is medicine going to be available? Sorry, I'm so excited. When is the end of the year, you said, or sooner?
Limited amounts, yes. The people that already have the scanners, they'll be upgraded to the ones next. But yes, early 2026, Prism.io will take the world by storm, and you'll see a lot of marketing for it. It's the size of a hockey puck. You have it in your own home, and you can see if your diet and lifestyle is working for you or against you.
Every day.
You don't need to measure every day, because the device is taking a 2-month measurement of cellular health. We're looking at the cell.
I'd be doing it every day anyway. You know?
Yeah, and you can. It's like you're really on it. You can look every week or two. But let me put it this way: when we consume something, a medication, an herb, we change our diet, it doesn't just work right away, right? It takes about 4 to 6 months to reach full saturation of our body, from toe to fingertip. It takes that long for these nutritional compounds to become a part of every cell.
Yeah.
And we're staying on track, doing the same things that we know the body needs, because it's not just one thing. It's a lot of different ingredients. We're a system, not symptoms. So if you remove the magnesium, or you remove the selenium, or you remove, these carotenoids and other antioxidants, the body's going to start to not function as well. And that's what we call metabolic disease.
Dr. Jodi, which it's Reverend, but I love that you call me doctor. Dr. Seuss, right?
Yeah.
Suson. You are already part of my team for this scanner. So I am. So we are, and I haven't had a chance to fully learn. I just knew I needed to get signed up. As most people know, I'm trying to get this book published. It's actually ready and rocking to go. We just have to get Amazon to realize that all the text is inside the margins. Like, okay. So
stay inside the lines, color inside the lines.
Well, and we did. It's perfect. It's probably the most beautiful creation it's the most beautiful creation of my life.
You're creating. It's beautiful.
Yeah. It's because it's not just words on a page. Each page has beautiful artwork on it of nature or somebody else's interpretation, their artwork. So that people stay grounded while they read, foresting, right?
Yeah.
And it's so I just pray that God shows us how we get Amazon to give it a yes. So that's about it.
It's already happened.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So we are at how many minutes here? I didn't see. We're 58 minutes and 47 seconds. So we're good. I will just say, people, your present situation will not determine your future unless you choose it that way. And, Ryan is a perfect example of what's possible in our lives. He's here to help us. And I'm beyond grateful, for all the work that you're doing and that you converted. What's our time again? 59 seconds. We're going to say goodbye, everybody, so we can get this on TikTok. So look for this on TikTok. Ryan, thank you.
My pleasure.
All right. Don't go nowhere. All right.
I'm right here.
All right.
Thanks, everyone.